This presentation concerns legislation surrounding data protection. The purpose of the Data Protection Act is to ensure that the data collected about individuals by companies and other organisations are stored securely and used safely, fairly and appropriately. Organisations must conform to the 8 principles of the Data Protection Act because the Data Protection Act controls the way personal data are used. Now, personal data are data that allows an individual to be identified. So this can be their name, any kind of biometric data, and so on. So the Data Protection Act gives legal rights to people who have information stored about them. With reference to the 8 principles of the Data Protection Act, personal information, first of all, must be used fairly and lawfully. It must be used only for limited purposes. Personal information collected must be adequate, relevant and not excessive. Personal information must be accurate and up to date. Must not be kept for longer than is necessary. Must be used within the rights of the person. Personal information must be kept securely, and personal information may not be transferred outside Europe. Lots of organisations hold data about people, and schools are no exception to this. So we'll look at the example of a school and how the Data Protection Act applies in the context of a school environment. So as we know, schools hold lots of personal data about pupils. So the data that schools have about pupils can only be used for limited purposes. So that means data about pupils can only be used for supporting the pupil's education. Personal information about pupils can't be kept for longer than is necessary. So this means that when a pupil leaves the school, the data needs to be deleted. However, some data, such as exam results, do need to be kept for the school records. Also, when a student moves maybe from one school to another school, the data needs to be transferred between the schools as well. So personal information must be kept accurate and up to date. For instance, contact information for parents needs to be regularly updated in case there is an emergency in school. Personal information about pupils really needs to be kept securely. So this means laptops, USB devices really need to be encrypted in case these devices get lost or stolen. And if that happens, then at least the data can't be accessed. And finally, personal information must not be transferred outside of Europe. So external providers such as cloud services really need to be within the European Union. So the servers actually need to be within Europe.